If Donald Trump hadn't ventured into the political arena, he could have had a thriving career as a comedian. This man has kept everyone laughing, sometimes on purpose, but often just by being, well, Trump. Let's take a stroll through some of his most bizarre and unintentionally humorous moments as president.
God bless America.
Starting in early 2017, during one of his many rallies, Trump rattled off about an alleged terrorist incident in Sweden.
Happening last night in Sweden. Sweden. Who would believe this? Sweden. They took in large numbers. They're having problems like they never thought possible.
The only issue? No such attack ever happened. Naturally, the internet had a field day, and soon enough, the hashtag Last Night in Sweden was trending, with Swedes sharing photos of life's most ordinary moments, like cooking dinner and playing instruments. Even the Swedish embassy was baffled enough to call up Washington for an explanation. Next up, a lavish summit at his Mar-a-Lago resort, where he hosted Chinese President Xi Jinping while dining on what he described as the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake.
I was sitting at the table, we had finished dinner, we're now having dessert, and we had the most beautiful piece of chocolate cake that you've ever seen, and President Xi was enjoying it.
But things took a turn when, as he recounted the moment to the press, he proudly announced he'd told Xi that he launched missiles to Iraq.
So what happens is I said, we've just launched 59 missiles heading to Iraq.
But wait, wasn't it Syria?
Well, you headed to Syria.
Yes, heading toward Syria.
Yes, that chocolate cake must have been really distracting. The NATO summit in 2017 was a standout as well. Trump was supposed to charm America's allies, but instead, he barged to the front of the group photo, shoving Montenegro's prime minister out of his way. The push made headlines, particularly in Montenegro, which was awaiting NATO membership.
Montenegro is a tiny country with very strong people.
Yeah, I'm not against Montenegro
Right.
or Albania.
No, by the way, they're very strong people. They're very aggressive people. They may get aggressive.
Then there was his special relationship with North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, whom he affectionately nicknamed Rocket Man. They went from trading threats to meeting up, saluting each other, and at one point Trump even saluted one of Kim's generals, a move that left American diplomats and the internet completely baffled. Saluting any foreign military leader is unusual for a US president, but doing it with a general from a longtime adversary like North Korea, now that's a head-scratcher. And who could forget Christmas Eve 2018? 7-year-old Coleman Lloyd got a once-in-a-lifetime call, the president himself ringing her up to wish her a Merry Christmas. For any Christmas-obsessed kid, this would be a dream come true. But what started as a holiday thrill took a strange turn.
Are you still a believer in Santa?
Yes, sir.
Because at 7 it's marginal, right?
Yes, sir.
It's like Trump had gone full undercover as the Grinch himself. Santa-loving parents? Let's just say, they were ready to file a complaint with the North Pole. Oh, and remember the time he treated the national football champions, the Clemson Tigers, to a White House dinner? But instead of steak or lobster, they got a smorgasbord of cold Big Macs, fries, and Filet-O-Fish, all served on fancy silver platters.
We have pizzas, we have 300 hamburgers, many French fries, all of our favorite foods. I want to see what's here when we leave, because I don't think it's going to be much.
Well, it's not the type of dinner you'd expect to have with the president. But hey, when else do you get to see Big Macs stacked in the White House dining room? And then, there was Trump's attempt to buy Greenland, which sounded like a joke, but it wasn't.
Strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will.
When Denmark's prime minister diplomatically said Greenland wasn't for sale, Trump got offended and canceled a planned trip to Denmark altogether.
I thought that the prime minister's statement that it was absurd, it was an absurd idea, was nasty. I thought it was an inappropriate statement. All she had to do is say, no, we wouldn't be interested.
Guess he didn't realize that not everything is up for grabs in a real estate deal. Oh, and who could forget his awkward encounter in Paris? Upon meeting French President Emmanuel Macron, Trump couldn't resist commenting on First Lady Brigitte Macron's physique. All this while standing right next to Melania, The backlash was so widespread that even companies like Reebok jumped in. It's no wonder Melania is so icy with him in public. During Donald Trump's acceptance speech at the Republican National Convention, where he officially snagged the Republican nomination for the 2024 presidential race, Melania Trump was caught on camera doing what she does best, sidestepping a kiss from her husband. Yep, she just casually dodged it like she was avoiding a bad case of morning breath. Well, it's these little moments that keep us all on the edge of our seats, wondering what's really going on behind those closed doors.
Whether you love me or hate me, you gotta vote for me.
But wait, there's more. This isn't the first time Melania's body language has stolen the show. Remember that World Series game? The one where she smiled sweetly next to Donald for all of 2 seconds before turning away and rolling her eyes as if she was thinking, "Ugh, not again." That clip went viral faster than you could say awkward marriage, with critics quick to point out that Melania has a knack for these less than warm interactions with her hubby.
Don't be rude.
Over the years, she's perfected the art of slapping away his hand, ripping her hand out of his grip, and just flat out walking away from him during photo ops. Speaking of hands, who could forget the infamous umbrella incident in October 2018? Here's how it went down. It was raining, and President Trump, ever the gentleman, was holding an umbrella over his own head, leaving Melania to fend for herself in the downpour. Chivalry is apparently dead, at least in the Trump household. And let's not skip over their arrival in Israel, where Trump reached for Melania's hand, only for her to swiftly and subtly swat it away. The next day, despite the whole world talking about her hand-swatting skills, she did it again in Rome. But this time, she had a convenient excuse. She needed that hand to fix her hair. Yeah, right. Also, remember when Melania's yellow coat became the talk of Twitter? With her coat strategically draped over her shoulders, she set the internet ablaze once again when a video shared by NBC News showed Trump appearing to fumble awkwardly for her hand as they walked toward their awaiting aircraft. It was like watching a toddler trying to grab a slippery fish. It just wasn't happening.
Oh, and you like all her choices, or you ever like, what?
No, not all her choices, but tonight I like it a lot. She looks great.
And then there's that cringe-worthy moment when Trump attempted to hold Melania's hand while welcoming French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife, Brigitte, to the White House. Trump tried everything, tapping, curling his pinky, you name it, until Melania finally relented after what felt like an eternity. By the time she grabbed hold, you could almost hear the collective sigh of relief from onlookers who were probably cringing so hard they pulled a muscle. But the pièce de résistance has to be when Melania introduced Donald on stage at a US Air Force event. Normally, this is where you'd expect a sweet peck on the cheek, right? Wrong. Trump greeted her with a pro forma handshake and then, wait for it, gave her a little push, motioning for her to stand off to the side like she was an afterthought. You can't make this stuff up. And who could forget Trump's inauguration? The big day when all eyes were on them. But instead of waiting for his wife, or, helping her out of the car like a true gentleman, Trump charged up the White House steps to greet the Obamas, leaving Melania to walk up alone a few paces behind him. It's almost like he was trying to set a new world record for fastest abandonment of a spouse on a historic occasion. Standing awkwardly beside his wife, Trump was no match for Obama's charm as he gracefully kissed Michelle's hand, perhaps leaving Melania to wonder what could have been. Then there was that viral gif from the inauguration that everyone was talking about. On the Capitol steps, Trump looked back at his wife, and she responded with a smile that lasted for about 2 seconds. The moment he turned away, her smile turned into a grimace that looked like she had just bitten into a lemon. Even at the inaugural ball, Melania couldn't hide her emotions. Maybe it was just a bad angle, but that didn't stop the internet from buzzing about her seemingly sour expression on the dance floor. And let's not forget that infamous like on Twitter.
We're gonna build a wall.
It was the like heard round the world when Melania's personal account hit the heart button on a tweet that read, "Seems the only wall Donald Trump's built is the one between him and Melania Trump. Ouch." Her communications director later claimed that Melania wasn't aware of the like and that they had since changed the passwords. But of course, by then, it was too late. The internet had already had its fun. Then there was the White House Easter egg roll. You'd think it'd be a simple task to put your hand over your heart during the national anthem, but it took a sharp elbow from Melania to remind Trump to follow suit. What a girl boss moment for Melania. And lastly, do you remember his remark at a Republican fundraiser? The one when Trump took the stage and, in his usual unscripted style, joked that First Lady Melania wouldn't be overcome with grief if he ended up in a tragic situation. He compared it to Repier's Steve Scalise's shooting, saying, "Scalise's spouse cried her eyes out when I met her at the hospital that day. I mean, not many wives would react that way to tragedy. I know mine wouldn't. It's almost creepy how it turned out to be a strange bit of foreshadowing, as in 2024, Trump ended up getting shot in the ear himself. Talk about life imitating art. Well, the art of humor, that is. Well, I bet Melania was upset about this, or so her public statement said. With a track record like this, it's no wonder people are glued to their screens every time the Trumps step out in public. But what do you think? Is Melania really unhappy with Donald, or is she just not a fan of PDA? Share your thoughts in the comments.